Hello guys, it's your friendly neighbourhood elite gamer here again. And as it's special book day, I've just found out, I've decided to do another episode in the special book reviews line. So this will be episode 3, and this division of special book reviews will be my review of the one and only novelisation X-Men, based upon the movie which made its illustrious debut in the year 2000. And since, incidentally, there's a lot of differences between this book and the movie, so let's get down to that. Like for a start, aside from the movie, in the book we don't actually get to the main focus of both the movie and, in some case scenarios, this first book, based upon the movie, which was the main friendship between Wolverine and Rogue. But well, before we get that, we get to that actual epicentre of this novel in conjunction with the movie. We also had a lot more going with that, because in this book we actually had a lot more borderline, a lot more initial background which they weren't able to fit into the inevitable movie itself. You know, for instance, there was a lot more going on with Cyclops and how he experiences his power for the first time, that he ends up getting such really bad headaches that he actually ends up shooting a beam of energy from his eyes and basically blowing a hole right through the dorm's bathroom, making just the equivalence of a crater. Storm also has more background in how she actually utilises her abilities for the first time. And then we're in a similar case scenario, cut into the bit where Wolverine and Rogue meet. There are additionally other bits thrown in as well, like another bit where in the movie Wolverine fights a guy in a cage, where that doesn't happen in this book. And for some weird reason, Rogue's not wearing gloves in this book, or at least when it begins, which I do find a lot very weird, especially considering her powers incapable of physical human contact. That she touches anyone for too long, she can kill them, whether they're mutant or human. Which is blatantly as much of a curse as anyone else, if that's such a thing. And it's blatantly obvious, both between the book and the movie, that it takes its toll on her very, very much, and it's not something that she enjoys every passing day. So between the expressions from her in the movie, when she's really getting to her and upsetting her, that is absolutely priceless. And it's just as priceless in the book, because we actually get a feel for what this scared, absolutely petrified young woman, no younger than 17, has every right to be frightened of this power, because it makes her as much of a danger to the people around her. Not because she wants to be like that, not because she wants to hurt someone, but because it's an automatic thing. It goes into phase totally automatically the minute anyone makes contact with her skin. So why she didn't have gloves in the book just really astounds me. Another thing to comment is there are a lot of inconsistencies with this book. I'm not going to quote all the inconsistencies, but one of the top 10 inconsistencies was relevant to something along the lines of the amount of not being, or indecision, or not being able to count the right amount of claws Wolverine has when they come out. I mean, as a result, he has about 3 claws for each fist, so that's a total of 6 in all. And in one paragraph of this book, they say that, they write in that Wolverine's got 8 claws. They say that 8 claws burst out, when that's not the case. As I said, 1, 2, 3 for each hand, 6 in all. So that was a very interesting thing to find out in this book. And inevitably there's other bits that really make this book quite a joy to read. I read it from page to page and I had a really good time with it. Another thing that made it good, as I was just elaborating there, was there's a scene in both the movie and the book where Logan at first isn't going to take Marie where she wants to go. He ends up taking pity on her and giving her a lift the remainder of the way, or however far he's originally going to take her to start. So in the midst of that, as far as the novel's concerned, this conversation works out a lot differently, because this division of conversation in the novel is actually based and said in a totally different way. And if you've ever seen the screen test of Hugh Jackman alongside Anna Paquin's interpretation of Rogue for the first time, or I assume that to be the first time, tell me now if I had that bit wrong, but anyway. It's quite a joy, because as I said, they actually use the same paragraph words that they used in that little screen test, with Rogue basically turning around to Wolverine and going, in this novel, to him during their conversation, "How long have you known?" To which Logan responds to her, "Known what?" To which she responds, "How long have you known that you were like me?" To which he responds, "I'm nothing like you." To which she responds, "Oh no, you're just an all-round, everyday, normal claw guy." To which he responds to her that, all you've done to flatter me so far is to get me into a fight, so I'm going to cut you a bit of slack. And another difference with that is, instead of him saying to her one thing, it comes out a little differently. As an example, in the movie, he says to her, "What kind of a name is Rogue?" To which she turns around to him and goes, in quite a politely yet mocking voice to some extent, what kind of name is Wolverine?" To which in the novel, he pretty much asks her the same thing, to which she turns around and says to him, "What kind of a name is Logan?" So it basically comes down to a quandary of it being the same question but a different name. But the other thing that sort of intrigued me with this novel is that I'll always have time for the portrayal of Wolverine and Rogue in the movies, because I thought they were done very well, absolutely brilliantly. I don't think they could have chosen any better people to do them in the film, but this is mainly back on the book, so I digress. Another part affecting this novel was the fact that when just before Magneto comes and takes Rogue hostage, because he needs her, so he can transfer his power to her, so she can power the machine and end up sacrificing her alive to make all humans like all mutants. Because Magneto is too much of a snivelling coward to, as Logan eloquently put it, if he was, he's so full of what I cannot say, because we've got to think of the children. If he was so righteous, it would be him in that thing. But the point I'm making is, there's a really good bit when, just before he comes to take Rogue away, hostage or captive, whatever you like to call it, there's an extended bit in the novel where Wolverine's trying to talk Rogue into coming back, and in the train scene, and he's telling her a bit more about his past, which he hasn't even mentioned to Cyclops or anyone else, saying that when I woke up in the woods, I had no idea how I got these scratches, I had no idea how I got this adamantium in me, and it was all, and it got me in such a state that I tried to kill myself, and every time I tried to do just that, it was totally impossible, because every time I did try to kill myself, it was totally impossible, because the cuts kept us healing up and disappearing. And he even goes on to say that when it all comes down to it, there was times when I wanted to feel the closing hand of death, and when it actually came full circle, when you when you used your power to heal yourself with my abilities, I actually felt as close to death as ever before. And thanks to you, I realised I don't want that anymore, and I wanted you to know that. She then breaks down in tears like she does in the movie, and he basically consoles her, telling the same thing, that I understand what you're going through, but there's people who genuinely want to help you, and that's a rare thing for people like us. So even between the novel and the movie, he has sort of an affection for her still, probably more the affection of a close friend or a member of the family than the way she assumes he feels about it. But however that's put on the back burner, I mean, even then, even though he's no match for Magneto, he still moves heaven and earth to stop him. And even though he can't do that, he doesn't stop for lack of trying. Another thing to comment on this, when he throws Logan back and he hits the back of the train wall and knocks him unconscious, Rogue actually uses a phrase in this first novel that she actually used in X-Men 2. Very similar to the phrase, excluding the other bit. Her exact phrase she says to Magneto is, "What did you do?" Yeah, I reckon that should ring a lot of bells for X-Men 2, shouldn't it? Have you seen the movie? So anyway, then she ends up being taken, courtesy of the syringe which he levitates into her neck, knocking her unconscious. So they can take away any unnecessary aggravation. Anyway, so they end up going to Liberty Island to get her back, but not without a few annoyances down the way. Like, while this all been going on, Mystique sabotaging Cerebro, which puts the Professor in a very dangerous situation, which means that Jean Grey has to utilise Cerebro just to be able to find Rogue. Once that's all said and done, they go to Liberty Island, face off against the Master of Magnetism, Magneto, and his tenacious, malevolent minions, Victor Creed, Sabretooth, Raven Darkholme, Mystique, and Mortimer, aka Toad. Upon besting them, Wolverine is able, with Cyclops' help, to destroy Magneto's mutant machine and rescue Rogue. Unfortunately, she's not in a very good state because it's really taken a lot out of her. So for the second time, he has no choice but to take a calculated risk, even in the event that it has a high chance of killing him, despite his accelerated healing factor, by letting himself actually touch her face with his bare hand, with direct skin contact, so that her powers can work in contact with his own, so that she can utilise his healing factor so she'll survive. One call, she comes back to herself, and everything's right with the world again. So, how would I rate this book? Well, excuse me. when it comes to X-Men, it's probably one of the greatest things Stan Lee and so many people have ever brought. And it really rams the point home that people, even if people are born different to others, they shouldn't be harassed, bullied, scared, intimidated, or expected to hide in the dark just because they're born different. I mean, as an example of what I'm saying, I had no choice. I had no more whatsoever choice in how I was born, any more than the people in this book. In this book, they're only resented for their extraordinary abilities, which set them apart from the rest of humanity. But what makes these heroes stand out? They're reluctant superheroes which actually wish to defend the world. They don't have to do that, they choose to do that on a constant daily basis between any conceivable threat to the world in general, and from even if it means going up against one on their own, even if it means going up against a renegade human just to stop the worst thing happening. These people actually put it on the line as reluctant superheroes, not because they have to, not because they want to, because they choose to. You know, I mean, there's probably the greatest honour of all. Not just to be reluctant superheroes, but to actually choose, of their own accord, their own free will, to actually defend a world from people who hate and fear them. Without a doubt, that is truly what true heroes are made of. I hereby give X-Men, the novel, based upon the 2000 movie, a 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching, guys. Until my next episode, on whether it's special book reviews or whatever is on the mix. This is your friendly neighbour, the Elite Gamer, saying thanks for watching. Have a great evening. I'll see you in the next one.